Hello everyone, this is Neurotics, aka Nero. I'm doing another tutorial for ExtremeHardware.net. What we're going to be doing today is probably something that 99% of the users of the site already know how to do. However, if someone is a complete noob to building PCs and maybe has a laptop they're working with or something and they've just built a gaming computer, they might be wondering how to get an OS on it. So today I'm going to show you how to create a bootable flash stick using some programs, and we'll get right into this. So what you're going to need is a flash stick. I use SanDisk Cruiser Glide and various others. For Windows 11 or Linux Mint, you could use an 8 gigabyte flash stick and get away with it. It'll be large enough. If you have a larger capacity one, that's fine too. So anyway, we're going to get into Firefox, and we're going to go Google Rufus, and the first thing that comes up is rufus.ie, and you can use Rufus to make bootable flash sticks. So we're going to go back, and we're going to go to downloads, and we're going to download Rufus. Okay, so we got that. And now the other thing is, if you put in Windows ISO, you're going to need an ISO. If you download the Windows 10 disk image, it's kind of hard to get to on their site. So it'll give you the installer for the media installer tool, not an actual ISO. So if you go to download Windows 11, however, download Windows 11 disk image ISO for x64 devices there, and you click download, and you can get your Windows 11 disk image to use. However, today we're going to be using and making a flash drive for Linux Mint. And for Linux, the reason we're using Linux Mint is that it is very easy to transition to from Windows. It has a feature called Time Shift, which is like System Restore. If you wreck it really badly and it's not bootable, you can boot into a recovery environment and basically load a restore point. So you go to download, there's a couple things that show up. There's a Cinnamon edition, XFCE edition, Mate edition. These are all different window managers. What we're going to get is Cinnamon edition. As you can see from the screenshot, it has a start menu that's very similar to a Windows start menu. Then it also has icons for programs that are open that show up on the bottom left of the taskbar, just like in Windows, just like I'm can do right now with like that. So I already downloaded Linux Mint Cinnamon, so we're gonna get right to going to Rufus, opening it, and no, we don't want to check for updates. Now I already have the image set, but what we're going to do is select it. Linux Mint 22. By default, when you do it, it's going to say partition scheme MBR. We don't want to use that. We're not using master boot record anymore. The partition scheme that's modern is GPT. And then target system UEFI non-CSM. That means that CSM is basically allows you to use older hard drives or devices. It needs to be disabled in the BIOS, but optimally with a modern gaming PC, you want it to be non-CSM. You don't want to have CSM on in your BIOS. And so what we're going to do is we're going to check FAT32 default. This will work. Just be sure here that you have your Linux your Linux Mint ISO selected, and that it's selecting E, not like, for example, C or D. you don't want it to overwrite those. So be careful, double check that it is actually the correct device. As you can see when I hover over it, mine is a SanDisk Ultra USB device. So we're going to click Start. It brings you a pop-up that just says write in image mode, recommended. That's fine. It gives you a final warning in case you selected a different drive that you have an OS on or something. But then we click OK, and it's going to start going. And it's going to take a while, so I am going to cut out and come back later when it's done. Hello everyone. Now we're back, and our Linux Mint flash stick has been successfully burned by Rufus, so it's here, and it's totally done and should be usable. So we're going to minimize Rufus for the time being. You can close out of it later. I have VirtualBox up. With Windows 10 or Windows 11, if you boot off of the flash stick, by going into your BIOS and selecting it, it will go to setup. If you're using Linux, 99% of Linux distributions will allow for booting directly off the flash stick into what they call a live environment. So that means that you boot off the flash stick and it will load into Linux, and you will have full access to it. It's very useful to have one of these to be able to diagnose problems with disks or with the system itself. So what we're going to do now is boot into a live environment. And as you can see, it's giving us options. There's even a memory test, which is pretty nice. And we're going to start Linux Mint 22 Cinnamon. And so we've made our flash stick, and it's going to take a minute to boot, but that's basically how you make a flash stick using Rufus, and for this will be Linux Mint Cinnamon. And it's almost ready. It's pretty quick. There's our cursor. And we are successfully in Linux. So that, I think, basically at this point you could close out of Rufus. You've got your Linux Mint flash stick that you can use to boot off of. You could do partitioning with it if you need to. But otherwise, I'm thinking the video's pretty good. I'm happy with it, and I hope that this helps you out if you are new to building PCs. Thanks, and I'm signing off.